Welcome back. Okay, let me pin myself once again. I hope everybody had a fun 4th of July. Why do they change this on me every time? There we go. I feel like one day I'll finally remember how to go back from pinning and like the screens, but we'll see. Okay, so for our WH question words, I think we talked about this a little bit the week before last, but I'm going to kind of go over it again. So with our WH question words, one of the things that's really, really important is the placement of our eyebrows. Okay. So with that, I know it's kind of like a strange like thing to think about, but your eyebrows are really going to help you help you emphasize what your question is. That's kind of like putting the question mark at the end of a sentence is how where your eyebrows placement is. So for our WH question words, your eyebrows are going to kind of come down, almost like you're mad, but like I promise, it does not come off like you're mad when you're asking this question. It works. But you're gonna have your eyebrows down with your question words. So anytime you ever do a question word, you want to make sure your eyebrows are down. Most of the time, after a while, you get kind of used to it and it's a habit and it just kind of comes naturally, especially if you're an expressive person. So if you're not, you tend to have a little bit more of a neutral kind of facial expressions, fine. Just try to think about that a little bit when you sign. I'm one of those people where I show every feeling on my face. Like you will know everything I'm thinking in my mind. So like it was not easy, not hard for me to go over to doing eyebrows down with the question words. Now, if it's a yes or no question, that's when your eyebrows are going to go up. Okay. So that's just one little key thing to do. We'll practice a sentence or a question or two with a yes or no, since there's not really like question words to go with that per se. We have our WH question words and then yes or no. So let's first off start with our WH question words. There are the main five, and then I sometimes add two more that aren't WH, but they're still good question words that we commonly see. The first one we have, I gotta make my list so I don't lose my place. First one we have is who. So what you're gonna do for who is you're gonna have your dominant hand shaped in kind of an L, have your thumb go on your chin like this, and you're gonna go who, like you bending your finger, who, who. Now, what's really interesting about this one in particular, I always talk about this, is if you notice my mouth does make the who sound, the ooh sound, who. That is something that even people who have never really like had any connections of sound or anything like that, they are profoundly deaf, they will still make that movement, who, with that ooh sound, which is very interesting to me since most of the time, not most of the time, a good amount of times you don't always see mouth movement as often. You will see some here and there, but that is one that like, the movement and the sign itself kind of connect. So if you do the ooh with it, that is very much like that's what I typically see when someone says, when they sign who, who, who. Okay. Then our next one we have is what. So what is going to have our hands up like this? They're kind of just opening up and you're going to go what, 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 what. I think that one also is very easy because I feel like when people are like, what? Like they just kind of put their arms up like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's very similar to the what. What? Our next one we have is where. So where is going to be your dominant pointer finger. You're going to slightly bend it. So it's not like a full X. It's just a slight bend. And then you're going to shake it back and forth. Where? 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 And you want to make sure your hand does it's just staying and going back and forth side to side. So that way it's clearly showing you're asking that instead of being like this where it looks like you're just pointing in zigzags or making a Z. So I would typically keep it right here. Where? Where? Okay. Then we have when. So the way I do it is you're gonna have two pointer fingers. The way I do it, I love how I said that. The way it's more like there's another way to do when. It's a little more old school. And I always think about that one, but it's not common. I don't see that one often. So we're doing the one that I do see more often. But I love how I was trying to like start with that like that. It worded it very weird. Sorry, back to it. When is you're going to have two pointer fingers. You're going to have them together like this. And then your dominant pointer finger is going to make a circle. When. when, when. My little helpful tidbit with this one is I think about your pointer finger being like the movement on a clock, you know, that circular movement. And usually with when, it's like a time or that kind of thing. So it helps with my memory of this when. Then our last one is why. There are multiple ways you can do why. I'm going to show you all three of them that they kind of basically like come off of each other. They build off each other. So the first one is going to be, you're going to start with your whole hand at the top, the side of your head like this, and you're going to pull it back in a Y. So Y. My pinky always wants to stay up with that one. Y. And you do want to make sure your hand stays in that kind of movement. You don't want to turn it. You just want to keep it and pull it away. Y. Y. The reason my pinky stays up is because it knows it's supposed to stay in that Y position and it refuses to bend with it. So that's why my pinky keeps going up. Typically it's staying down like this, but my pinky is too used to it. Y. Okay. The next one for Y is then you're going to use your middle finger, have it at the side of your head again like this, and pull back Y. Y. Okay. And then the third one, I promise we'll go through these again. The third one is going to be that same position as that second one, so middle finger. And instead of touching, you're just going to bounce it. Why? So of those three, I kind of see all three kind of interchange and use different ways. Again, this is one that sometimes I do feel can be kind of like personal choice and personal preference. And sometimes for me, when I use it is depending on like the sentence. Like if I'm just using why, like I'm asking the simple question of why. I'm not having like a whole explanation of it. I just am asking like why. I typically would just go why. I don't do the whole big dramatic thing. I just go why. But if I'm saying like cleaning why or something, I'm trying to think of a bigger sentence. But if I was like cleaning why, like I would probably end up doing a why here. Again, that's a personal preference. That is not like oh, this is how you use this one or that one. There's no really rigid rules for these whys. They're just kind of personal preference. So let's go back to our five WH question words again. We had who, Some people they will keep their finger straight and bend it like this, like who. Either way, it works. I typically just do the little bending one, who. Then we had what. Then we had where. Remember, it's like that, slightly crooked. It's not fully crooked. Where. Where. Then when. When. And then our Y's. So we had the one that has full fingers here and pulls into a Y. And then the one with the middle finger, Y. And then our last one, Y. Again, that one's a personal preference. If you're like trying to remember all three Y's is too much, pick one that you want to use and go with that one. I feel like that's kind of the best bet, especially when you're learning. I just like to show you there are different ways for this one. Okay, now, before we start getting into sentences, let me add another rule with the WH question words, okay? So I think I've talked about this a little bit before as well. I'm going to talk about it again. When you're asking a question in ASL, the important thing to remember is your WH question word is always going to be at the end of the sentence. Okay? So if I were to ask I think I did, what is your name? You're not going to sign What's your name? You're not going to ask it that way. You are going to go with your name, what? The reason for that is two things. One, it helps because you're having that eyebrows down, helps immediately tell them you are asking a question. You need an answer. They have to respond. The next part is it's helping them know exactly what type. So the what, it could be, sometimes they can be different. Like, for example, the meeting, like we're having a meeting today. You could be asking when or where, or why. You could have those three different options. So if you were saying, why meeting or something like that, it could be really confusing compared to just doing meeting why. It helps tell them exactly what type of question you're asking. So that is one of the reasons why having those WH question words at the end helps to like clarify so they know specifically what kind of question you're asking. Okay, so we have a few sentences here. First one is, where is the bathroom? So obviously I have to show you guys the sign for bathroom. There are two versions of this. One is more common, and one is, I like to say, the more proper way, but it's not that common, okay? So the first one we're going to do is the more common one, and it's going to be, you're going to make it T, and you're going to shake it back and forth. So it's very much like how we did our where, but it's just with a T. And then the next one is the sign for, it's technically the sign for restroom, which I mean is still a bathroom. And you're going to have that R, and you're going to go restroom, restroom, restroom. Like I said, this one I don't see that often. I see this one more often. And I'll never forget, I had an ASL professor talked about how much she hated using the T. She was like, you use restroom, restroom. That is proper. That is, more polite, whichever. And she said it's because the sign for this one for bathroom is technically the symbol for toilet. So you're not asking air quote bathroom, you're asking for toilet. And apparently that drove her crazy. She's like, you use restroom. Restroom is proper. And I was like, okay, I will use restroom. Every time I was in her class, I was like, if I need to use the bathroom, I'm never using a T. It's always these, restroom. And then I got to my internship, and that's what everyone said was this one, bathroom, 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 bathroom. So this one is more common, but this is another option as well. Some people will use this, just not as often as this one. Okay? So if we were going to put a sentence together and say, where's the bathroom? You're going to start with the sign for bathroom, which is obviously our bathroom. And then you'll go where. So it goes from that T in shaking it to the crooked finger shaking it. Where? So bathroom, where? Where?
So when you're asking the questions, do you want to scrunch your eyebrows the whole question, or just when you get to like the WH word at the end and stuff, like the question word?
So I think you are reading my mind, sir, because I was literally thinking, I was like, I need to clarify that you don't have to sit here angrily the whole time you sign everything. It's only at the end. So I can do, bathroom, where? Like I have my eyebrows natural for bathroom, and then at the end that where comes down.
Thank you.
So, okay, let's do who are you? That one is very, very simple. You're going to point to the person you're talking about. You, who? You, who? Now, I know from my experiences growing up that I was told it's very impolite to point to people, and that's a big thing. In ASL, it's not. Pointing is a way of saying you or them, he, she, person. So that's why it's like when you're talking about, like, if you're saying, like, who are they? Who is she? Who is he? You would point to that person and then do the who. So that helps with, like, if you're trying to figure out who someone is, you can point and be like, okay, the reason I did this is if you're talking about someone really far away, you kind of make it like a whole dramatic like arch. Like you're talking, they are far away. They're not close to me, they are far. And you'll go like, who's that? Does that make sense? The pointing, like it helps. I think it helps simplify a lot for sure. So you, who? Okay. The next one is, well, actually, we're going to do when is the meeting. meeting/event. There's a sign for a meeting and there's a sign for event. I'm going to show you both and then we'll do the question. So the sign for meeting is going to be, I'm trying to think of how the best way to describe it. Think about talking hand puppets, okay? That's my best way to start. You're going to have them together and come like this. So having them talk at the same time. And this is meeting. I think it's genuinely for the motion of people coming together and chatting. Meeting. So meeting. Then we have event. So event is going to be, you're going to have the 2 5s and you're going to go event. Like you just tap them right above your armpits. Event. 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 So if you were saying, when is the event? You would say, or meeting. Let's do meeting first. Meeting, when? When. And then if you were saying event, when? You could do event, when? When. You can also, if, for example, if you did forget the sign for when, and you were like, oh no, I need to ask when this is important. You can always do time as kind of like a helpful, like hint, like help, support, I guess you could say. Because I can see, especially if it's in the day, like I'm thinking visually like how I do at school. Like I'll ask my coworkers, like, when is our meeting? I'll be like, meeting, what time? I do typically more of that, what time? So meeting, what time? That kind of motion. That can help just in case you're like forgetting the sign for when. You can always do kind of like time to help, like show you're asking when it is, that kind of thing. Okay. Let's go over those 3 real quick, and then we'll touch on our what are you doing. The reason we're waiting on that one is it is very different from the ones we've been talking about. So we had, where is the bathroom? So bathroom, where? Then we had, who are you? You, who? Then we had, when is the meeting? So meeting, when? And then when is the event? Event. Whoops, I did event meeting. Sorry, that's how it's like written on my line. That's why I did it. Event, when? Okay. Our last question right here, and then I'll leave it open for you guys to have any other common questions y'all use, is what are you doing? So the reason I held this one is because there is a much simpler way of how people sign this, and it's nowhere near with the sign what. That's why I was like, that one is so different. It does not help us at all with practicing our WH question words. So the sign for what are you doing is super simple. You basically are doing little pinches like this. Like I think of like baby pinchers from like crabs. And you go, what do? What are you doing? And this is this. So the way you work, the name of it is what do. That's what it says, is what do. So what are you doing? So you can do 2 hands or you can do 1 hand. What are you doing? This one is very common in a school system, if you can imagine, where you were coming up and going, what are you doing? What are you doing? they'll come up to me and they'll be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And get closer with their little what do's. I'm like, okay, you guys are so nosy. So what do? What do? And this one, again, you would have those eyebrows down. What are you doing? Like, what do? Okay. Oh, I have her list. I constantly like loved, I know I showed my phone again. Love having my little list that Miss Katie makes for me. And I constantly always forget about the next page. And I love how there's 2 more questions there. And so we're going to hit those. And then the next one. Yeah. Okay. So we have how are you? And we didn't do how. So let me show you guys the sign for how. This one specifically is the one that's not related with how many or how much. There is a different sign for that one. Okay. So this one's just the basic how. You're going to have 2 thumbs up. You're going to put them together. And you want to have it where like your like middle knuckles are touching kind of deal. Yeah. And you're going to bring your dominant hand. How? Slightly forward. How? So if you were to say, how are you? This one does actually follow the how you. So it doesn't have that how at the end. I don't know why it's that way. It's just always been that kind of way. And so what you're going to do for how are you is you're going to go, how you. How are you? How you? So how you. It's very like, this can be a very fluid kind of sign where it's just like, how are you? How you? But really it's how you. How are you? How are you? That for how, sometimes some people will bounce it. How, 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 like this. I've seen it that way before. Typically, it can just be that one how. I'm trying to think of a different sentence than how are you, just to kind of help you guys see what I'm talking about with that. Let's see. Clean how. I don't know. We'll do that one. Oh, wait, how did you get here? That's a better one. Well, okay. Actually, no, we're gonna do clean how because that one's a little easier because then I'd have to explain all the other ways of how you'd word that, and I don't want to overwhelm y'all. I feel like I'm already throwing so much at y'all right now. So clean how. Would you be like you'd be like clean how? See, and I will do that little bounce. So clean how. How. Okay. Then oh, Miss Katie, you give us all the other WH questions, all the question words. All right. The next one is which. Okay. So for which, it's super easy. And not the witch as in like a witch, wicked witch, like which one do you want? You have two thumbs up and you're going to go which. And you just bounce them back and forth. It's kind of like saying, do you go here or there? Which, which. And the way you would ask a question like that, let's say your favorite cat, dog, which. That kind of thing. You see, and I know I did not slow down for y'all to see that sentence. I was just trying to show you an example of it. Is you would list the two things and then say which. Typically it does not matter. I know I kind of did it when I went like this and then showed the which. You don't have to lean which way with the types. You can just kind of say like cat, dog, which. I typically just do that because I like the flair for dramatics, okay? I feel like you guys have probably caught on by now that I typically am a very movable person. So I like to add things here and there. So again, our which, like this, is the which. So let's see. I'm trying to think of a sentence. Okay. Your actually no, here's better. Water or milk. We'll do those two. So you would basically sign the first two things first. You can add this to the listing we talked about and go like water, which is a W, pointer finger comes to the corner of your mouth, water. It's the pointer finger. And you just kind of come on the side like this, water. Water, and then milk. And milk is just a fist. You just keep squeezing. So you can do water, milk, which to help with that listing. Honestly, it's very much a preference thing. Sometimes if I want to be very clear, like it's not just like a simple one word, which is your preference. Like if it's like kind of a group of things, then I typically will add that little list. Like when I'm talking about 3 different things or 4, whichever, I will list it to help them remember which one I'm talking about. Okay. Are there any signs that you guys want to review real quick? I know we kind of went through, we didn't do how and which again. We'll review those after I ask this question. Are there any question words you guys or question sentences that you guys typically use that you'd be curious how you would sign it?
Miss Katie had a good one in the chat earlier. How can I help, or do you need help?
That is a good one. I love how I have the chat up here and I still didn't look at that back at that one. So, how may I help you? The way that one's really got a simpler answer. So the way you would ask it is you would do help and and this is one kind of where you use the eyebrows up. So help is a thumbs up. on top of your non-dominant hand. Help. Now, help is directional, or the sign itself can be directional, which means you're going to move your hand to tell who you're talking to. Or like it kind of helps describe the sentence. I'm trying to figure out how to word it and I never can explain this right. So for example, if I'm asking, okay, and I help you, I'm going to start with help in front of me, like real close in front of me. And I'm going to hand it like towards the person I want to help. So this is me helping you. So does that make sense? Like I'm moving it towards you, like I'm giving it towards you for help.
And
Okay.
then likewise, if you were in a group of people.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so if I were to be like, for example, if I needed help, I would be like, I would start away from me and bring it towards me, like, help me, that kind of motion. Think about who in the end needs the help, and that's where you need to end, I guess is the best way. It's hard to describe. Once you see it visually, like in a sentence, it makes a lot of sense, but like trying to describe it is very hard sometimes. So for, how may I help you? Or may I help you? It's just help. And your eyebrows are gonna go up. So this is a good one for that help with the eyebrows up. Help, help. I know sometimes I feel like when we're doing this one, everyone's like, I'm trying to work with their eyebrows, and it's like it's a whole new feature to get used to again. I get it. Trust me, I was there for a good while trying to be like, just trying to like, get used to being around people who are just trying to remember their eyebrows. They're just such a natural feature we don't think about until you have to use them and you're like, wait, how do I do this? Yeah. Don't worry, it does come natural after a while. I'm sorry, I just kept seeing everyone's eyebrows going, like, up as so big and as possible, and I was like, I mean, yes, you're right. They don't have to touch your headline, though. So, that if you need help me with that eyebrow up. I always like to end my little help me with, like, a little, like, smile, like, "Yes, I need your help." Um, I just like to add that little, like, sweetness to it. Um How did you get here? I'm still staring at that one because I wanna explain it, I just feel it could get complicated. So,
You really,
best
I was just throwing questions out there. We really don't have to do that. The more I think
I do,
about it, the more I think it's kind of a strange question. Like, under what circumstances would I be saying, how did you get here?
right? I feel like that's one you do talk to your kids about, or, like, I mean, I can remember talking to a cat that is randomly shown up in our neighborhood and, like, now claims our house, and I'm like, "How did you get here? Where did you come from?" That sort of thing, so I get
But
it.
you also didn't expect a response. So,
That is
I mean, I
also true.
assume you didn't.
That is also true. Okay, well, we'll skip that one. If someone still wants to do that one, at the end, let me have this class to think about it just because I'm trying to figure out how to word it where it doesn't come off
Well,
weird.
Drew's is much more important. I mean,
Yes,
appropriate, really.
yes. No, I saw it and I went, oh, yes, that's a good one. So, what do you want slash need? Um, you're going to do, for example, for want, you'll do, and I know I'm going to say this very weird. It's how you sign it in ASL, but I'm going to voice it in English. Is you would say, you want what? Um, And so you would point you want. Oh wait, y'all have not done want. Want is open hands like this away from you, and you're gonna come towards you with bent fingers. Want, want. I think of it as the kind of like the gimme gimme. When like people are like, oh, I want it, gimme gimme, like with the crinkled fingers, that kind of thing. Want. So you want what? What? You want what? Okay. The other one, what do you need? Is gonna be you need what? And sometimes you can always just that one sometimes can be a little bit left without that what, but we're gonna add it here. So you would go for need. Need is a bent X. Bent X. It's an X. I don't know why. I think I'm trying to explain the shape of it, but also the letter, and it just was throwing me off. You're gonna have an X, and you're gonna go need. 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 So you need what? Ooh, you need what? 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 Um, if you notice, I did one-handed. You can do one-handed with the what. I would do both hands though for the beginning, since you're still trying to get used to it. This is again that lazy sign that I've talked about, I feel, where you just kind of stop doing both hands and you just kind of go with one. You see it more often later on, but right now I would keep with the what, so you at least know the main general of this. Okay. All right, we have another good one. Where are you from? So the way you'll do that is from where. And that's the ASL signing of it, is you'll sign the sign for from and then sign where. Oh, sorry, no, this is not from. That was me. That was me pretending to have the words visually in front of me. I'm so sorry. I do that all the time when I'm talking about words, and I like just visually have the letters in front of me. I realized when I saw
Wait, this is kind of scary how much power you have. You realize we all would have just walked out of here been like, this is
I realized that immediately afterwards because I saw people doing this and I went, oh no, those are not the words. That was me just trying to break up the words. Sorry. I need to be careful when I do my own little movements because that is gonna throw y'all. The sign for from is you're gonna have your non-dominant pointer. Your dominant's gonna kind of like, I always have my nails kind of touching on the back, okay? And you're gonna bring your dominant back and you're kind of gonna bend it like this. From. And you don't have to go fully like back. You can just kind of have it a small one. From. So you'd go from where? From where? From where? Yeah, there's our from. This is the correct from. We'll never get over the fact I did that. My bad. From where? All right. Y'all have got some good question words or question sentences. I love how I keep saying words as well. I'm loving this. Most people don't have a lot of questions they ask, and I'm so glad about this. Where hurt? That one is basically you're going to flip it. So hurt where? Now for hurt, you're going to have two pointer fingers. They're sideways, and you're going to bounce them like this. Hurt. This is hurt. So hurt where? Hurt where? Interesting with this. This is, I'm thinking of them responding to you, and just a helpful tip about hurt. Hurt is another slightly directional one. And the reason I say that is because wherever they're hurting, they're going to show on their body. So for example, if you have a headache, it's just hurt, but on top of your forehead, hurt. So if your head's hurting, it's just hurt. This is like headache. And if you notice, I'm coming like forward. So yeah, hurt. If it's your neck, they're going to go hurt, like it's hurting here. Arm, they'll go hurt, and then arm, like kind of rub it. Leg, it's going to be that same sort of thing, that hurt. Stomach, okay, I know you can't see it, but I'm like right in front of my stomach doing that same hurting motion. Hurt. So for example, if you ask someone, like it's an emergency, and you're asking them like, where are you hurt? And if you see them point like here or like here, like on their stomach, that's just to help you know that they're saying their pain is right there. Just a little helpful tidbit with that one. I think that one can be helpful when you're in emergency. It is very to the point with the body where the pain is. How old? Oh, that's a good one. So the sign for that, you're actually not going to use the how. Okay? You're basically going to do age you. Okay? But you still will have the eyebrows on for this one. It's interesting. So the sign for age is, it's like an open C that closes into a fist. Age. So it's like you do age you. Age you. How old are you? I know this one's not on it, but I'm just going to add it here because we are at age. The reason for this one I always think about is when you're talking about someone being old. Old is you're going to start very similar to age, and you're going to go down. Like you keep going down. And it's like a long beard. I visually am thinking about like Gandalf or Dumbledore, where they have just the really, really long beards because they're just so ancient. Old. And so that's where that like age and old kind of tie together, because age is just a small little motion. Like you're trying to figure out, are you really old, or are you kind of, this is going to show how crazy I am, I feel. I was like, you're just basically asking how old you are by the length of the beard, because old is like going all the way down, like the beard is so long, and then age is right here. Where do you fall on that? So age, you. How old are you? All right. Any others you guys can think of? I know we got other signs we'll do, but I'm liking these questions. I feel like these are good questions.
Do you have any like did, does, or do questions?
Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to think of some. So like if one, for example, was like, did you clean up? Did you finish your work? Did you, I know they're all related to like students and stuff. But anything like that, those kinds of questions, what you're really gonna do more so of is you're not gonna have a sign for that did, because it's a yes or no question. So what you do is like, for example, clean, like, did you clean up your clean up your room? You would be like, your room clean, with the eyebrows up. That's almost as doing that, did you clean your room? Because it's again that yes or no. So there's not really like a sign for did. It's more that yes or no, like you did this. Does that make sense? I know I'm trying to figure out how to word that. Like, um, do you, and like, for example, do you like food? Like, or food. Do you like cookies? Something like that. You're not gonna go like do, like add that do before it. You're gonna be like, you like cookies? You like cookies? So if you notice, I don't ever sign anything for do. It's just already understood that I'm asking yes or no. So does that make sense? I know there's this. This is what do though. This is specifically for what are you doing? What motions? What do you do when you're at work? What are you doing here? Things like that. Like, what are you doing? That kind of overall motion. But did and do not really have their own signs per se. They are just kind of embedded, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the next thing. If you guys do end up thinking about any other questions that you guys are curious of, you can just type them in the chat box and we'll get back to them at the end. Let's real quick recap our WH question words. I feel those are very good ones to have, and then we'll do our weather signs, okay? So we had our who, who. Then we had our what, what. Then we had our where. Then we had our when. And I know, I feel like that was no one ever noticed it, but I do bend mine down. You don't have to. You can keep it straight. I feel like I slightly am being a little lazy when I do it this way. Typically it is more that straight across. But oh my goodness, a doggy! Sorry. Anytime I see animals on here, I get so excited. I feel like Miss Katie and I both immediately lose focus for a good few seconds there. That was such a cute dog. Okay. And then we had our why. So we had why. Then why. Oh, sorry. Why? I skipped this one. Why? And then why. Okay. Then we had our how. And then our which. Okay. Now let's move on to our weather signs. Okay, these are fun ones. So the first sign obviously is going to be the sign for weather. Weather is going to be two W's. You're going to have them kind of in front of each other like this, and you're going to go back and forth. Weather. Weather. Okay. Our next one is sun. So you're going to kind of start with this slightly flat O. You're going to start away from you like this, turn it towards you, and open your hand. Sun. I know I'm doing it. Sun. I visually think about the sunshine, like the rays of sunlight coming in on you. That's what that motion of like showing it is coming on your face. You feel it. With that, since we're there, if you're talking about it being really hot, like it is right now in Alabama, you do this. It's like this motion of like, like it is just, the rays are so strong. So it's like sun, whoo, that kind of motion. I love that one because I feel like I'm doing that one constantly. I'm just like, it's so hot, can't be outside. Our next one is cloudy. So for cloudy, I am going to try to back up a little just so you guys can visually see it's more up here. That's why. Ooh. Okay. So for cloudy, you're going to have these open fives, slightly bent. You're going to have them in front of each other like this. Do you see? And you're going to have it right here, and you're going to go cloudy. So like you're making like these circular motions. Cloudy. Yeah. Cloudy. This is also the sign for clouds itself too. So cloudy. Okay. Then we have rain. So rain is going to be, again, these slightly like open fives. Excuse me. You're going to start here at the top and you're going to go rain. Rain. And again, I feel like this one, sometimes with the weather ones, it's very visual, I think. It makes a lot of sense. Like this one is like raindrops coming down. Rain. With this, what's really cool is if you're talking about a downpour, like it is raining so hard. It's like rain, like it's like you make the motion, but coming at like an angle, like it's just raining. And so I always like to say when you're talking about weather signs, especially things like rain, and then the sun, you really can like express how it is. Like, if that makes sense, because like when I said about the sun rays, it's like, oh my gosh, it is so hot. Like that's a really great way to not dramatize, but to be expressive about like just how hot it is. Instead of having to say like, oh, it's really hot. Like, you can just go, "Ooh, it's this." Or if it's raining, you don't have to just say raining a lot. No, you can be like, it's like really getting into it. Okay. We'll do one more before we review these again. Then we have snow. So snow is going to start here, same kind of position. And now you're just going to twinkle your fingers as you come down because they're just such graceful little snowflakes. Snow. I wish we were able to use this one more in Alabama, but it's okay. It's okay. I got really giddy about a year ago because in January I got to go to Chicago and visit some friends and they get lots of snow and I'm a true born and raised Alabamian who's never really seen a lot of snow, and the whole time I'm just like, it's the snow, it's the snow. Like I could not stop, guys. I was almost like in a musical having so much fun with the snow like that. So I'll just never forget, every time I think of snow, I just think of Chicago. Snow. Okay. Let's go back. So we had weather, which is those W's, weather. And you go back and forth, weather. Then sun, sun. So you kind of start away and come towards you, sun. Then cloudy, cloudy, cloudy. Rain, rain. Then our snow, snow. Okay. Now our next one is going to be windy. So the way you do windy is you're going to have like these fives standing like this, and you're going to go back and forth, windy, windy, windy. And the reasoning for this one is because this is the sign for tree. Okay, my underarm is here, tree. So it's like visually think about, you have two trees here that are swaying in the wind because it's that strong. That's where that motion kind of comes through. Windy, windy, windy. Then we have lightning. Lightning and thunder, I think, are some of the coolest signs to do. I'm not gonna lie. Lightning is gonna have your non-dominant hand like this. And then I'm gonna kind of come under so you can see better. Your dominant hand's gonna be a pointer finger. You're gonna start here and you're gonna go, you're gonna make little lightning marks. Lightning, lightning. So you make little zigzags. if you were to say it was lightning a lot, you would just keep going, like it just keeps. This is another one of those dramatic ones where you want to show it on your face too. Because if it's like a lightning storm and it's really bad, you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, there's lightning everywhere with your face kind of not moving. Like I typically am like it's like, ooh, that was bad. So lightning. And then the next one, thunder. So thunder is going to be, you're going to start by pointing to your ear. Okay. And then you're going to have these like, let me sign it for you first before I describe it. I feel like I'm going to confuse it more if I do that. Thunder. Thunder. Okay. So what it is you point to your ear. You start with 2 5s. And as you move back and forth, you close them into fists. Thunder. 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 So thunder. Thunder. The reason for this one is it's making the motion of, first off, deaf people can't obviously hear thunder, but because it can be so thunderous, you can feel the vibrations. And that's what that movement is to show that it's thundering, like there's thunder. The ground is vibrating, that kind of thing. Thunder. Thunder. Okay. And typically it's a little more like lower. You don't have it like kind of up in your face like this. I'm just trying to give you the better view of it. Thunder. Okay. Then we have hurricane. So hurricane is you're going to start with 3s on both sides. You're going to put them together. You're going to have your non-dominant sideways, like pointing this way. Dominant's going to come up top. You're going to have your thumbs touch. And then you're going to bring them together. Hurricane. Hurricane. Okay, wait a minute. It's Katie Cup. So I see her like completely. Okay. You're going to have these fingers like this. You're going to turn your non-dominant sideways. Yeah. And then your dominant's going to come on top. And then make the motion. Because if you were to look at this from a bird's eye view, it looks like the symbol of a hurricane, like not symbol, the motion of a hurricane, like on a world map. So, you know, when you look at it, it has like the kind of difference, like the one curve. Oh, I should not describe it. You guys know what it looks like on a map. That's what it looks like. I'm realizing how bad my descriptions would be. And I'm like, no, we can't do that right now, guys. So hurricane. Oh no, don't do that. Sorry, Siri was trying to record everything I just said. And I was like, we do not need to search that. The next one is tornado, okay? So tornado, there are 2 ways you can do it. It kind of depends on location, whichever area you're in. The first one is going to be non-dominant is palm up. Dominant hands, kind of like when we did our 1,000, okay? And you're going to go hurricane, 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 hurricane. I mean hurricane, geez Louise, tornado. I was like, why does that not sound right? I meant tornado, sorry, tornado, tornado, tornado. The other one is going to be 2 pointer fingers and you're going to make this motion. And it's like, I almost want to jokingly say this is tornado while this is twister because it's still a spiral. I've seen this one more with, interestingly enough, one of my coworkers, she's from Tennessee. She moved down to Alabama, worked with us for a few years, and then she moved back to Tennessee this past year and was very sad. Typically when we were here in Alabama, we did tornado. But then when we were catching up and chatting, she was talking about tornado and she went tornado. And I looked at her and I said, you went back to your Tennessee side for tornado, didn't you? She's like, well, duh, that's all I've been around. I was like, that makes sense. But so I always like relate this one to like Tennessee, while this one is like Alabama. Obviously, they are both used everywhere. I just make that little like fun connection. Okay. We'll do our last one of the weather signs, and then we'll go through those again. The next one is flood, or the last one is flood. With flood, what you're going to do is you're going to do the sign for water, which is, again, is that pointer finger goes to the corner of your mouth, water. And you're going to go, and you're going to kind of, well, I guess you couldn't see, wiggling your fingers as it comes up. Water. And that's the sign for flood. It's basically putting water and rising together. So water, flood. If you notice when I was doing it, when I typically sign a flood, I do puff out my cheeks like I'm about to go swimming underwater. That's my way of like emphasizing with the flood. You don't have to. That's just me. I'll go water. like I make the whole dramatics with it again, but typically you can just do water with the water and then rice. Water. And that's why I still keep naturally just puffing out my cheeks. I think it's just, I'm too used to it now. Okay, let's go back. So we had windy, which was windy, windy. Then we had lightning, lightning, lightning. And you would have this one lower. It's not always right in your face. I'm just doing it because you can't, when I do it right here, you can't see it. So you would typically have it kind of more like chest level and then do lightning here. Then thunder. So remember, you point to the ear, you start with fives, and then you close into fists as you shake. Thunder. Thunder. Excuse me. Thunder. Thunder. Then we had hurricane. So again, it's these threes together, sideways, on top, bouncing forth. Hurricane. Hurricane. Then tornado. 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 Or tornado. 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 And then our last one, flood. Flood. So water rising. Okay. So I know we have 5 minutes and there are still other signs. What we'll do is I'm gonna leave it open. Are there any questions you guys have? Any signs you're curious of? Oh, that's a good one. What's the temperature? That is a good one. I'll leave it open while you guys can type in your questions. I'm gonna sign this one though. So for what's the temperature? You're gonna do temperature and then what? So the sign for temperature is you're gonna have your fingers in point. You're gonna have pointer fingers like this. Your dominant is again gonna turn like this, kind of like when we did month. If you remember, our month was down here. Very similar. Is you're gonna go back, bounce and forth. Bounce it back and forth. Temperature. So temperature, what? Temperature, what? I would recommend putting outside if you're talking about outside temperature, because I could see someone very well saying, I think I have a fever. I could see them thinking you're talking about them. So what you would do is outside. Outside is you start with an open 5 towards you and you pull it to a O. Outside. Out. So outside, temperature, what? Outside, temperature, what? Okay. Another one, a good one for when you're talking about, like, for example, tornadoes, when we have tornado watches versus warnings. So typically for watch, you would do tornado and then you're gonna have like 2 V's and you're gonna go watch. Watch. This is kind of like, it's not necessarily the general term for watch, like if you're watching TV or something. I think that's more of like the I'm watching you, like I'm keeping an eye on you. Watch. Watch. So tornado, watch. And then for tornado warning, you would do tornado and then warning. Warning. This is the warning. So like warning, watch be careful, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's just your general warning. Your address / phone number. So, okay, we'll do address first. I had to think for a minute. Okay, so address is going to be 2 A's and it's going to be, oh, I'm going to throw myself off from this. Sorry. I had to think for a minute. Do you start down or above? Okay, that's right. So you're going to start with you're going to start with your thumb, like slightly like thumbs up, your A's. And I'm going to stand for this one. You start here at your lower stomach first, okay? And you're going to go from down up on top. So address. Address. So your address, what? Your address, what? For phone number, again, you're going to go your phone. So it's like what we typically, I think most of us think of a phone as phone. And if you remember our number, number. So your phone number. What? So your phone number. What? Okay. Ooh, good. An earthquake. So earthquake, it's very similar to thunder in the sense. I'm gonna try not to go too deep into it, but the sign for Earth, the sign for Earth itself, is you're gonna have your non-dominant in a fist, have it sideways. Your dominant is gonna be your middle finger and your thumb. You're gonna put it on top like this, and this is Earth. Earth. So Earth is gonna be earthquake. Earthquake. There are different ways I've seen that one. Sometimes I see people just fingerspell earthquake. There's one where they talk about the rock. Not a science teacher, don't judge me if I can't think of it. Like the layers, and it's like separation. I typically just do earthquake, earthquake, or I fingerspell it if all else fails. Earthquake, earthquake. Any last minute signs before we finish up? I'm trying to think. Not necessarily on that, but more so anything we need to review once more. Let's see. Okay, we didn't do those. Alrighty, let's see. No, we're not. I was trying to, there's a whole interesting like connection I was gonna bring, and I was like, no, because I could talk for the next like 10 minutes on that, and I'm not keeping y'all here for an extra 10 minutes.
Well,
So
and to Jillian, we can take the holiday signs and we did days of the week did we do days of the week when we had a time? That's what I thought, but we didn't do month. No, we did do months.
actually, I can talk about this real quick because I can do this in under 5 minutes.
Okay.
Nice thing about months is that it is just going to be like the first 3 letters of the name. So, for example, January is Jan, February is Feb, March Mar, April you do spell it all the way. April, May, June, July. Those 4 you do spell them out all the way. And then like August is AUG. So it's just the first 3 letters. So again, it comes with our ABCs. What happens is when you practice those enough, it's going to kind of do its own like fluid motion. So like for August, if you saw I went August, it's not just going AUG, it's August. But that's how you do the months of the year. There's no special different fancy sign for each month. They are just fingerspelled.
Okay, awesome. So we'll add weather and no. We'll add seasons and days of the week. We can add that to the last session if we need to.
The holidays, you mean?
What did I say?
You said days of the week.
It feels like Monday again. Yeah. So we'll get that figured out. But
Yeah,
next week will be fun because next week is animal signs.
That
That's
one
the
is
fun one. But do keep in mind that Gillian is always happy to get answers to any questions you have if she doesn't know the answer. So if anything comes up or if you've got any phrases, any types of signs you want to learn, email me and I'll get in touch with Gillian. And otherwise, we will see you next week.
Alrighty. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's week, and I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Bye.